Okay. So the paper that we will be doing today is NAVU 2025, paper 1, variant 1. Okay. The first question states, which statements about a light microscope are correct? Number one, to calculate the magnification of a light microscope, the eyepiece lens and objective lens magnifications are added together. So the magnifications of the eyepiece lens and the objective lens are not added together. Instead, they are multiplied together, which means option A and option B are out. Then we have statement one, statement three. Statement 2 states the resolution of a light microscope is limited by the wavelength of light. This is a correct statement because we know that the resolution is dependent by the wavelength. हम बेसिकली क्या कहते हैं वेवलेंथ के थ्रू डिटरमिन कर रहे होते हैं हमारी resolution. Half of the wavelength is your resolution's value. So this is the correct statement, which means that option C should be our correct answer. But let's understand why 3 is incorrect. The divisions on the scale on a stage micrometer are closer together than the divisions on the scale of an eyepiece gratitude. Now, the divisions on the scale of eyepiece gratitude can vary depending on the magnification of the lenses because eyepiece gratitude is fixed in the eyepiece lens. So, अगर eyepiece lens की मैग्निफिकेशन चेंज हो गई ऑब्जेक्टिव लेंस की मैग्निफिकेशन चेंज नहीं वैसे आईपीस लेंस की अगर मैग्निफिकेशन चेंज होगी तो ऑटोमेटिकली हमारे पास हो सकता है कि हमारी एपरेंट विजिबिलिटी है ऑफ द डिविजन ऑफ आईपीस ग्रेटिट्यूड यूनिट्स डिविजन वो चेंज हो रहा है बट स्टेज माइक्रोमीटर की जो डिविजन है दे आर फिक्स दे डोंट चेंज तो हमारे पास हम हतमी तौर पर ये नहीं कह सकते दैट ऑप्शन 3 इज द करेक्ट आंसर एंड हेंस ऑप्शन सी which says that statement 2 is the correct option is the correct answer. A student measured the width of a mitochondrion in an electron micrograph of an animal cell with a magnification of times 9600. The width was 6 millimeter. What was the actual width of the mitochondrion? We plug in the formula magnification equals to image size upon actual size. We have magnification, we have the image size, which is 6 millimeter, and we have to find the actual size. Actual size will become 6 millimeters upon 9600. And if we put these values in the calculator, we would get a value of the actual size comes out to be 0.0000625 millimeters. We do not have any option in millimeters. We convert this into micrometers. I'm multiplying it with 1000 and this comes out to be 0.625 micrometers, which is closest to option B. The photomicrograph shows a section of the stem of a plant which statements could describe Q. Now, Q is basically the xylem area of the plant. So अगर हम xylem की बात करें, how did we identify xylem? Because lumen diameter बड़ा है, walls का जो thickness है वो comparatively thicker है. So that's why Q is xylem. Now, what do we know about? We have to identify which statements are describing Q, which is your xylem. So the cell wall contains pits. Yes, xylem has pits. The cell wall contains cellulose and also lignin. That's also correct. It is connected to adjacent cells via plasmodesmata. That is incorrect. So option 1 and 2 are correct. Hence, option E is the correct answer. The diagram is taken from an electron micrograph of a cell that secretes enzymes. Where are the polypeptides for these enzymes made? Polypeptides are made on the ribosomes via the process of translation. A is basically a Golgi vesicle which contains enzymes. So यहाँ पर enzymes form नहीं हो रहा है, made नहीं हो रहा है. Instead, they'll eventually be released via exocytosis. B is the Golgi body. यहाँ पर protein modification होती है, protein synthesis नहीं होता. And D is mitochondrion. Mitochondrion is involved in ATP synthesis, not in protein synthesis. Question 5. Which comparisons between a typical bacterial cell and a typical plant cell are correct? अच्छा जी अगर हम फर्स्ट कॉलम की बात करें फर्स्ट रो की बात करें साइटोप्लाज्मिक डीएनए होता है बैक्टीरियल सेल में यस न्यूक्लियर डीएनए होता है प्लांट सेल में यस bacterial cell does not have a smooth ER present correct smooth ER is present in plant cell that's also correct Pteridoflaccid cell walls are found in bacterial cells and cellulose cell walls are found in plant cells this isn't correct because 70S ribosomes are found in bacterial cells, whereas 80S ribosomes plus 70S ribosomes are found in plant cells because they're eukaryotic. So B, C, and D are out. A is the only correct answer. The diagram shows a virus. Which row correctly identifies the labeled biological molecules W, X, Y, and Z? When we talk about W, RER is not present in bacteria. It says no smooth ER present. Any membrane-bound organelle is not present in bacteria. So there is no ER, whether smooth or rough. There is no Golgi body, no lysosomes. Ajay, when you talk about question number 6, W, X, Y, and Z. W is the genetic material. Now, it looks like a single stranded molecule. So हमारे पास ये single stranded RNA भी हो सकता है और ये हमारे पास single stranded DNA भी हो सकता है. It would be a single stranded RNA or it would be a single stranded DNA. Y is your capsid protein boat. X is your envelope. Your envelope is made by the phospholipid bilayer. And Z is basically a glycoprotein. And glycoprotein का most probably ये sugar chain वाला part है. So X हमारे पास phospholipids होने चाहिए, Y हमारे पास proteins होने चाहिए, V हमारे पास क्या कहती हैं ग्लाइकोप्रोटीन होना चाहिए. So either carbohydrates or protein. So option B is the correct answer over here. The iodine test and the Benedict's test were carried out on samples of a starch solution. Amylase is the enzyme which basically converts starch into maltose. Amylase was added to another sample of the starch solution and incubated for 10 minutes. The Benedict's test was then carried out on the sample. What were the results of these tests? Iodine before adding amylase. Before adding amylase, there is starch present. So if starch is present, then there would be a positive result, positive iodine result. So option B or option C में से कोई answer होना चाहिए. Before the starch broke down into maltose, iodine test का positive result ही आएगा in the presence of starch. Benedict's test before adding amylase. Now, when we haven't added amylase, we only have starch. Starch is a polysaccharide. Polysaccharides are non-reducing sugars. So this would be negative. And after adding amylase, starch would have been broken down into maltose. Maltose is a reducing sugar, and hence this would be a positive test. Option number C is the correct answer. Question 8. Which row about alpha glucose and beta glucose molecules is correct? Carbon atom on which the OH position is different. So carbon 1 पे OH position different होती है. Cellulose contains both molecules. No, cellulose contains beta glucose only. It does not contain both. So 1 and no. Which molecules are monosaccharides? So ribose is a 5-carbon monosaccharide, glucose is a 6-carbon monosaccharide, deoxyribose is a 5-carbon monosaccharide, sucrose is a disaccharide made up of fructose and glucose. 1, 2, and 3. Option A is the correct answer. Many animals use triglycerides for long-term energy storage. Which statements are correct additional functions of triglycerides? They provide buoyancy in some marine animals. They are the main components of cell membrane. This is incorrect. हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं phospholipids are the main components of cell membranes. Triglycerides are not the main components, and that cancels out हमारे लिए A, B, and D. जिसमें 2 होगा वो सारे options चले गए. We do not even have to read statements 1 and 3 to confirm the correct answer because we already have our correct answer. A lot of times this can happen that you might not be sure what is the correct answer, but you are definitely sure what are the wrong options. So eliminate those options and choose the best possible best possible answer. 1 and 3 clues are here. They provide buoyancy in some marine animals. Marine animals are those which are living in water. We know that lipids are less dense than water. हम हमेशा से क्लासिक एग्जाम्पल पढ़ते आए हैं दैट अगर हम ऑयल को मिक्स करें, ऑयल इज बेसिकली अ लिपिड, if we mix oil with water, oil would form a layer at top of the water because oil is less dense. Anything which is less dense than water would float. Now, हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं, when there are more lipids in a marine animal, lipids make the marine animal less dense and makes the floating of the marine animals easier in water. So yes, triglycerides do provide buoyancy in some marine animals. That is the correct statement. They are used as thermal insulation. That is also a correct statement. So hence option C is the correct answer either ways. The diagram shows three different bonds. This is your hydrogen bond. This is your peptide bond. This is your disulfide bond. The question asks us which bonds are found in proteins. So all three bonds, 1, 2, and 3, are found in proteins. What describes the quaternary structure of a collagen molecule? Collagen molecule is basically tropocollagen. We know that three helical polypeptide chains which have third amino acid as glycine, every third amino acid as glycine, um, bond together each other to form the tropocollagen. Polypeptides that form an alpha helix which are held together by covalent bonds. Alpha helices हमारे पास secondary structure का part होती हैं and they're held together by hydrogen bonds, not covalent bonds. So A is incorrect. Polypeptides that form a double helix which are held together by hydrogen bonds. Double helix नहीं बनता, alpha helix बनता है और वो भी secondary structure में बनता है. Four polypeptides are held together by covalent bonds which form a helix. Incorrect. We have three helical polypeptides that are held together by hydrogen and covalent bonds. So option D is the only possible answer. Three polypeptides that form helical structures which are held together by hydrogen and covalent bonds. The diagram shows the structure of an enzyme amylase. Which level of protein structure results in the folding of amylase into its globular shape? The globular shape comes when the protein forms a 3D shape. So protein forms a 3D shape. A 3D shape is formed when the tertiary structure is achieved. So C is the correct answer. Which statement explains why large volumes of water maintain a constant temperature when the air temperature increases? Specific heat capacity of water is very high, therefore a lot of energy, a lot of heat energy is needed to raise the temperature of water by 1 degree Celsius or 1 Kelvin. So the specific heat capacity of water is high, therefore large volumes of water maintain a constant temperature even when there are temperature fluctuations in the atmosphere. Which statements about the mode of action of an enzyme are correct? Some enzymes have a region on their surface to which the substrate has a complementary shape. Yes, हमारे पास lock and key hypothesis states that enzymes which follow the lock and key hypothesis have a complementary active side to the substrate. Some enzymes and their substrate can change shape slightly as the substrate enters the active site. That is your induced fit model. So this is according to the lock and key hypothesis. This is according to the induced fit model. Statement 3 states enzymes permanently change shape. No, enzymes don't permanently change shape when they react with their substrates to form enzyme substrate complex. Incorrect. So A is out, C is out, D is out. Option B is the correct answer. The graph shows the effect of increasing substrate concentration on the rate of reaction of two enzymes that catalyze reactions with the same substrate. So we have enzyme P, enzyme Q. Which statement is correct? So basically, हमें relationship find करनी है enzyme P and enzyme Q की in terms of which has a higher or lower Km and has a greater or higher affinity for its substrate. So let's say enzyme P का Vmax यहाँ पर reach हो रहा है. So इसका Vmax upon 2 would be somewhere here, roughly somewhere here, let's say. ये इसका Vmax upon 2 है, so this is its Km value. When we talk about enzyme Q's का Vmax is reached over here. So let's say this is the Vmax upon 2 for enzyme Q. This is the Km value. So Q has a lower Km, which means Q has a higher affinity for its substrate compared to enzyme P. So enzyme Q has a lower Km and a higher affinity for the substrate than enzyme P, and hence option C is the correct answer. The cell surface membrane structure is described as a fluid mosaic. What correctly describes the mosaic part of the cell surface membrane? So basically, the mosaic part is because of the scattered arrangement of different types of proteins within the phospholipid bilayer. So ACE states the different patterns that are obtained by the moving phospholipid molecules. Fluidity wala jo part hai, that basically corresponds with the fluid movement of the phospholipid molecules, not the mosaic part. Mosaic is basically the scattered arrangement of proteins within the phospholipid bilayer. So this is incorrect. The random distribution of cholesterol molecules within phospholipid bilayer, incorrect. The regular pattern produced by the phospholipid heads and membrane proteins, incorrect. The scattering of the different proteins within the phospholipid bilayer is the correct answer. A student immersed a plant tissue in solution S. So this is, let's say, solution S. And a student immersed a plant tissue in solution S. So this is the plant tissue. This is solution S. For the next 30 minutes, the student used a microscope to observe the cells in the plant tissue. During this time, the cytoplasm of the cells shrunk. It reduced in size and no longer pushed up against the cell wall. In many cells, a space appeared between the cytoplasm and the cell wall, which means that water content is basically moving out of the plant cell. Which statements are correct conclusions from these observations? I'm paralleling with them. Solution S has a lower water potential and the plant tissue has a higher water potential. Therefore, the water is moving outside of the plant tissue into solution S. So statement one, the water potential in solution S was more negative. More negative means a lower water potential. We have established that solution S has a lower water potential than the water potential in the cytoplasm of the cells at the start of the experiment. So one is correct. Without a cell wall to provide support, it is likely that many of the cells would have burst. That is incorrect. ये हमारे पास cells burst तब करते अगर water cells के अंदर move कर रहा होता. That only then would have the cells burst. The clear space between the cell wall and the cytoplasm of many of the cells was filled with air. It's not filled with air, it's filled with the solution S. So 3 is also out. Option B is the correct. So it is filled with because it is immersed in solution S, so obviously यहाँ air नहीं होगी, यहाँ पर solution S होगी in the random spaces, in the spaces between the cytoplasm and the cell wall. A sample of 500 cells dividing by mitosis was examined to identify the state of mitosis for each cell. The table shows the result. State of mitosis, late prophase, 23% of the cells. End of metaphase, 45% of cells. Between the start of anaphase and the end of telophase, 24% cells. Which is correct? Number of cells with chromosomes at the equator of the cell. So we basically have to find out the number of cells which are in metaphase. For that, we'll simply do 45% of 500 and this would come out to be 225. So anything between A and B. Number of cells with separated chromatids. So separated chromatids we see in anaphase and telophase. That would be 24% of 500 and it would come out to be 120. Option A is the correct answer. The diagram shows a chromosome. What are structures P and Q? Okay, I'll read it again. Question 19 is asking us a sample of 500 cells. हमारे पास total कितना था? Total cells जो हम examine कर रहे हैं वो 500 है. So we have 500 cells and we are observing them under the microscope and we are identifying that each cell is in which state of mitosis. And हमने क्या कहते हैं परसेंटेज में उस आइडेंटिफिकेशन के बाद परसेंटेज की फॉर्म में लिखा कि हमारे पास कौन से सेल्स किस स्टेट ऑफ माइटोसिस में. The question is asking us which row is correct with respect to the number of cells at the equator of the सेल हमें पता है कि वो सेल्स जो मेटाफेज में होते हैं, दे आर बेसिकली लाइंड एट द इक्वेटर ऑफ द सेल। प्रोफेज में इक्वेटर पे नहीं होते, एनाफेज में इक्वेटर पे नहीं होते, प्रोफेज टेलोफेज में इक्वेटर पे नहीं होते। The only stage in which the cells are aligned at the equator of the cell is your metaphase. So हमें count, we have to calculate the number of cells in metaphase. हमारे पास percentage given है metaphase की 45%. 45% of what? 45% of the total. So 45 upon 100 into total, that comes out to be 225. Similarly, they're asking us in the other column, number of cells with separated chromatids. Separated chromatids, हमारे पास separation of chromatids होती है anaphase. So anaphase के बाद जब separated हो जाती हैं chromatids, so telophase में भी they are separated. We have the percentage of cells in anaphase and telophase, which is 24%. So again, 24% का मतलब is 100 into total, which is 500. This comes out to be 120. The diagram shows a chromosome. What are structures P and Q? P is your centromere and Q is your telomere. So P centromere, Q telomere. Option B is the correct answer. Which processes are used by stem cells during tissue repair? Tissue repair is basically when new cells are formed. न्यू सेल्स फॉर्म होने के लिए पूरी एक माइटोटिक सेल साइकिल कंप्लीट होनी चाहिए, तभी ओरिजिनल स्टेम सेल से नए स्टेम सेल्स बनेंगे और वो स्टेम सेल्स पे फर्दर डिफरेंशिएट होंगे। माइटोटिक सेल साइकिल में साइटोकाइनेसिस भी होता है, क्योंकि साइटोकाइनेसिस जब तक नहीं होगा डॉटर सेल्स नहीं बनेंगे। डीएनए रेप्लिकेशन जब तक नहीं होगा हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं, डॉटर सेल्स नहीं बनेंगे। माइटोसिस नहीं हो सकता जब तक कि डीएनए रेप्लिकेशन ना हो जाए इस फेज में। ट्रांसक्रिप्शन इज इम्पोर्टेंट बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली इंटरफेस के जितने भी प्रोसेस होते हैं G1 में प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस, लिपिड सिंथेसिस, डीएनए रेप्लिकेशन के लिए हमें एंजाइम चाहिए होती हैं, पॉलीमरेज, हेलिकेज, लाइगेज। फिर G2 में भी प्रोटीन सिंथेसिस और लिपिड सिंथेसिस हो रहा होता है। सो ऑल दीज आर मेटाबॉलिक रिएक्शन व्हिच आर occurring throughout your cell's life cycle, and for that we need proteins, we need enzymes, and therefore transcription of genes which would code for polypeptide which would eventually turn into enzymes is important. The enzyme telomerase prevents loss of telomeres after many mitotic cycles, cell cycles. हमारे पास क्या कहती हैं, जब भी डीएनए रेप्लिकेशन होती है certain amount of telomere is lost. हमारे पास क्या कहती हैं, जो एंजाइम टेलोमेरेज होती है वो क्या कहती हैं, प्रेजेंट होती है ऐसे सेल्स में जिनका बहुत लंबा लाइफ स्पैन हो। Now when you talk about neutrophils, neutrophils का जो एवरेज लाइफ स्पैन होता है, एवरेज लाइफ स्पैन of a neutrophil is about 5 days. 5 days तक ही एक न्यूट्रोफिल का लाइफ स्पैन। Mature red blood cells का लाइफ स्पैन is around 3 months, which is your 120 days. When we talk about activated memory T lymphocytes, they have to live in the cell for a very long period of time to provide long-term immunity. So they need to have a high concentration of telomerase to ensure कि ये cells जो हैं वो लंबे अरसे तक आपकी बॉडी में, आपके ब्लड स्ट्रीम में सस्टेन रहे, बनते रहे। So option B is the only answer. Long lifespan. Present. And also mature red blood cells you भी नहीं हो सकता because red blood cells do not undergo mitotic cells, mitosis undergo नहीं कर सकता, nuclear division नहीं हो सकता। Present for a long Which statements are correct? All polypeptides are coded for by genes. Yes. All genes are made up of a sequence of nucleotides. Yes. All gene mutations result in a change to the nucleotide sequence. Yes. All gene mutations will result in an altered polypeptide. Not necessarily. Sometimes mutations could be silent. They would not cause any change in the sequence of amino acids in the primary structure, and therefore there wouldn't be any change in the tertiary or the quaternary structure. So 1, 2, and 3 only. A double-stranded DNA molecule was analyzed and 29% of its nucleotide bases were found to be adenine. Which percentage of its nucleotide bases will be cytosine? अच्छा जी, this is a DNA strand. ठीक है. Now हमारे पास क्या कहती हैं, adenine percentage is equal to the percentage of thymine, which means हमारे पास 29% adenine है and हमारे पास 29% thymine है. 29 plus 29 means 29 times 2. We have this totals up to 58% of the DNA. 100% minus 58% equals to minus 58 is 42%. अब ये 42% इक्वली डिवाइड हो जाएगा किसमें, साइटोसिन एंड ग्वानिन में. सो 21% हमारे पास साइटोसिन होगी एंड 21% हमारे पास ग्वानिन होगी. Which means 24 is 8. In some cells, non-coding sequences of RNA are removed after transcription, which row correctly states the name of these non-coding sequences of RNA and the type of cell in which the non-coding sequences are removed. So the non-coding sequences are introns and they are removed in eukaryotes. Prokaryotes पे हमारे पास introns नहीं होते और हमारे पास splicing नहीं होती. So C is the correct answer. Water potentials were measured inside a leaf cell in the air spaces of the leaf and in the atmosphere. Which values of water potential would allow water to move from the leaf to the atmosphere? अच्छा, अगर water को move करना है from the leaf to the atmosphere, so water potential should be high in leaf and water potential should be low in atmosphere. तभी हमारे पास from a region of high water potential to a region of low water potential movement. However, हमारे पास C and D are out. Why are C and D out? Because हमारे पास जो water potential की maximum value होती है, highest water potential जो होता है वो zero होता है. Zero से ज़्यादा water potential की value हो नहीं सकती. Pure water has the greatest water potential, which is zero. Anything above zero cannot be a value of water potential, which means that C and D are out. So we have to choose between A and B. Water potential inside the leaf should be highest. -100 is a lower value than -1 and hence option A is the correct answer. Atmosphere में सबसे कम water potential होना चाहिए, so -100 is the lowest water potential. 3 samples of liquid were taken from different locations in a plant and tested to measure the concentration of four solutes. The results are shown. So in sample 1, हमारे पास sucrose है सबसे ज़्यादा, फिर नाइट्रेट आयंस और मैग्नीशियम आयंस कम है, अमीनो एसिड्स कंपैरेटिवली ज़्यादा है. Similarly, sample 3 में भी sucrose ज़्यादा है, अब फिर उसके बाद अमीनो एसिड्स हैं, फिर मैग्नीशियम आयंस हैं और फिर नाइट्रेट आयंस हैं. On contrary, sample 2 has 0.12 sucrose, 7.2 amino acids, 7.1 nitrate ions and magnesium ions are 1.1. हमारे पास फिर कहते हैं the phloem C-tube elements have sucrose in the maximum amount. After that, they have amino acids. So हमारे पास सबसे ज्यादा sucrose, उसके बाद amino acids और सबसे least amount में ions जो हैं वो sample 1 and 3 में पाए जाते हैं and hence option C is the correct answer, that samples 1 and 3 have been taken from phloem C-tube elements. 28. A heated band was wrapped around the stem of a plant at a height of 1 meter above the ground and left for 10 minutes. How will heating a small section of the stem to 60 degrees Celsius affect the transport of phloem sap and xylem sap between the roots of leaves? The key is provided to us. Tick shows that the transport continues. Cross shows that the transport stops. Now, when we're talking about 60 degrees Celsius, हमारे पास 60 degrees Celsius पर जो living cells and the start to die and the proteins stop functioning, the proteins get denatured. Now, the transport of phloem sap is through living cells. हमारे पास source cell से movement होती है across transport proteins into the companion cell, and from the companion cell हमारे पास movement होती है into the phloem sequence element. हमारे पास living cells और उनके protein survive नहीं कर पाएंगे at 3 degrees Celsius, so the transport within the phloem sap would stop. However, the transport of xylem sap is a passive process, and xylem vessel elements are basically dead cells. They're not living cells. So, अगर एक चीज dead है तो उसको heat करने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. So the transport would stop in phloem. It would continue in xylem, and hence option C is the correct answer. 29. The diagram shows the structure of an amphibian heart. Amphibian are basically those animals which can live on both water and as well as land. Frogs are basically a classic example of amphibian. So the diagram shows the structure of an amphibian heart and the movement of blood through it. Which statements about differences between the amphibian heart and the human heart are correct? The hearts have a different number of ventricles. That is correct. हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं, amphibian hearts में total 3 chambers होते हैं, 2 atria and 1 ventricle. On the contrary, a human heart has 4 chambers, 2 atria and 2 ventricles. So yes, the hearts have a different number of ventricles. The hearts have a different number of AV valves. Atrioventricular valves है हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं, 2 होते हैं. Human heart में भी और amphibian heart में भी we're seeing that there are 2 AV valves. So this is not a difference. It is a similarity that both humans and amphibian hearts have 2 AV valves. So D is out, D is out, A is out. We've already narrowed down to our correct option, but let's also read statement 3. A septum is absent in the amphibian heart and a septum is present in the human heart. That is correct. हमें कोई septum नजर नहीं आ रहा. There is no septum whatsoever. So statement 3 is also correct. And runs over here. No. How are ventricles same? Tell me. This is the right atrium. This is the left atrium. ये हमारे पास pulmonary artery और veins हैं. So ये हमारी pulmonary blood vessels हैं. And there is only one ventricle. Yeah, there is no septum. So this whole thing, I draw the boundary. ये पूरा आपके पास एक ventricle है. Question 30. A mutation in one of the genes that codes for hemoglobin changes the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen. This mutation lowers the partial pressure of oxygen at which hemoglobin is 50% saturated with oxygen. Which row shows the effect of the mutation on the affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen and the change in the position of the oxygen dissociation curve for hemoglobin? It is saying that after this mutation, at a lower partial pressure of oxygen, at a lower concentration of oxygen, the hemoglobin was achieving 50% saturation. Which means कि कम ऑक्सीजन के partial pressure पर भी 50% saturation achieve कर रहा था hemoglobin after the mutation occurred. Which means that after mutation, the hemoglobin developed a higher affinity for oxygen. And whenever there is a high affinity for oxygen within hemoglobin, the curve shifts to left-hand side. Option A is the correct answer. Which processes are responsible for the Bohr shift? Bohr shift is basically the reduced affinity of hemoglobin for oxygen, or we can say the right shift, in the presence of increased partial pressure of carbon dioxide. So statement 1 says carbon dioxide reacts with hemoglobin to form carb-aminohemoglobin. Formation of carb-aminohemoglobin is not responsible for the Bohr shift. When carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid, which dissociates into protons and bicarbonate ion, and the protons then eventually cause the dissociation of oxyhemoglobin. That is basically what is causing the Bohr shift, not the formation of carbon hemoglobin. So this is out. So A and B are out. Carbon dioxide reacts with water to form carbonic acid. Greater the concentration of carbonic acid in RBCs, greater would be the moisture. Hemoglobinic acid is formed from the dissociation of carbonic acid. Yes, both these things are responsible for the moisture, and hence option C is the correct answer. A student viewed a drop of human blood with a microscope and described a cell as having a very large diameter and a U-shaped nucleus that occupies half the volume of the cell. अगर एक न्यूक्लियस का मोस्ट ऑफ द वॉल्यूम ऑफ द सेल ऑक्यूपाई करता है तो वो लिम्फोसाइट था क्योंकि वो हाफ द वॉल्यूम ऑफ द सेल ऑक्यूपाई कर रहा है इट वुड नॉट बी अ lymphocyte because when we talk about lymphocyte they have such a large nucleus that most of the cell is occupied by the nucleus only तो lymphocyte नहीं होगा because half the volume majority of the volume of the cell is occupied with the nucleus of the lymphocyte रेड ब्लड सेल ऑब्वियसली नहीं हो सकता बिकॉज रेड ब्लड सेल में न्यूक्लियस मेच्योर रेड ब्लड सेल में न्यूक्लियस नहीं होता When we talk about neutrophils, neutrophils have a lobed nucleus, whereas monocytes have a bean-shaped or a kidney-shaped nucleus. And a kidney would look like इस तरह का न्यूक्लियस होता है आपका मोनोसाइट का. So the most closest option would be a monocyte. ठीक है. Now, how many times must an oxygen molecule pass through a cell surface membrane to get from the air in the alveolus to the hemoglobin in a red blood cell? Assume that there are no pores between the cells the oxygen molecule must pass through. At this point, ये आंसर हमें रख चुका है. अगर वो सारे सेल्स की मेम्ब्रेन को क्रॉस कर रहा है और वो पोर्स या जिसको हम कहते हैं मैक्सिमम नंबर ऑफ सेल मेम्ब्रेन को कितनी क्रॉस करेगा दैट वुड बी 5. जब हम मिनिमम नंबर्स ऑफ सेल मेम्ब्रेन की बात करते हैं या जब ऑक्सीजन मूव कर रहा होता है वो द पोर्स ऑफ द एंडोथेलियल सेल्स तो हमारे पास ऑप्शन फिर 3 हो जाता है. सो ये आंसर 3 या 5 ही होता है गिवन के वो कौन से वाले सर्कमस्टांसेस की बेसिस से हमसे पूछ रहा है. Asthma can affect children and adults. The air passages become narrower, severely restricting the airflow into the lungs. Salbutamol is a drug that widens the air passages to relieve the symptoms of asthma. How does salbutamol relieve the symptoms of asthma? हमारे पास प्रॉब्लम क्या आ रही है कि हमारा एयर पैसेजेस नैरो हो रहे हैं और salbutamol एयर पैसेज को वाइडन कर रहा है. It decreases mucus secretions in the terminal bronchioles. Terminal bronchioles do not have goblet cells. If they do not have goblet cells, there is no mucus secretion whatsoever. So A is out. It decreases surface area of the alveoli. अगर हमारे पास surface area of the alveoli decrease हो जाएगा हमारे पास gas exchange और कम हो जाएगा जो कि एक problem है. We don't want that. It causes recoil-affiltration in the bronchioles that would constrict an already narrower lumen. It relaxes smooth muscles in the bronchi and bronchioles. Whenever smooth muscles relax, the lumen widens, and whenever smooth muscles constrict, the lumen narrows. So D हमारे पास correct answer है. The photomicrograph shows a transverse section of part of the trachea, which letter represents tissue that can contract and relax to adjust the diameter of the airways. We have to identify the smooth muscles. A is basically your ciliated epithelial cells, so A cannot be the answer. B are basically your capillaries, या आपको red blood cells दिखाई दे रहे हैं. So obviously they are not your smooth muscles. फिर आपके पास क्या कहते हैं D आपके smooth muscles है. C हमारे लिए ambiguous है. कि C exactly क्या है? D is pointing towards smooth muscles and hence D is the correct answer. Which statements about an infectious disease may be correct? It can be caused by a Product. Yes, malaria is an example of an infectious disease caused by a Product. It can be transmitted by an insect vector. Yes, again, malaria is a disease, an infectious disease, which can be transmitted by an insect vector. It can be transmitted from mother to child. Yes, we've talked about vertical transmission in HIV/AIDS, in malaria, in tuberculosis. So all the statements are correct. Which statements explain why cholera has not been eradicated by vaccination? There is limited availability of an affordable vaccine. Cholera is prevalent in areas जहाँ पर क्या कहते हैं बहुत poor standards of living conditions हो, poor sanitation हो, जो आपके low income countries होती हैं. उनमें कॉलरा जैसी डिजीजेस कॉमन होती हैं। सो ऑब्वियसली अगर हमारे पास ऐसी कंट्रीज में कॉलरा कॉमन है तो डेफिनेटली हेल्थ केयर सर्विसेज का जो एक्सेस है और अफोर्डेबिलिटी है वो कम है। प्रोटेक्शन टेक सेवरल वीक्स टू डेवलप आफ्टर वैक्सीनेशन। यस, वैक्सीनेशन के बाद फौरन से इम्यूनिटी डेवलप नहीं होती। इट टेक्स टाइम फॉर द इम्यून रिस्पॉन्स टू बी ट्रिगर्ड एंड फॉर इम्यूनिटी टू बी डेवलप्ड। The underreporting of cholera in the community. So yes, again, low income countries में cholera common होता है, वहाँ पर screening facilities available नहीं होती, education awareness available नहीं होती, जिसकी वजह से people do not get themselves screened, they do not get themselves treated. So because of that, again, we are unable to eradicate or control cholera by vaccination. Immunity to cholera decreases after 2 years. Okay, so when we talk about this, हमारे पास we as A-level biology students haven't studied this particular factor. But as a matter of fact, we know that three of these statements are correct. So 1, 2, 3 लाजमी correct है, ये हमें पता है. Which means कि ऐसा option हमने choose करना है जिसमें 1, 2 and 3 मौजूद हो. So our best choice would be A, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And yes, statement 4 is also correct that immunity to cholera decreases after 2 years. आपको बूस्टर वैक्सीनेशन की जरूरत होती है क्योंकि जो पैथोजन है वो चेंज हो रहा होता है, इनफ एंटीबॉडीज इनफ मेमोरी सेल्स नहीं बन रहे होते वैक्सीन से. But obviously this is not something you know from your syllabus, so you not knowing this is not your fault. You need to be smart when doing MCQs. First three के लिए आप sure हो, ये आपको पता होने चाहिए. You should be able to deduce that these three statements are the reason why we are unable to eradicate completely through vaccination. So इस वजह से हम choose कर रहे हैं option number A. Antibiotic resistance is a serious threat to global health. Which statement describes a step that can be taken to reduce the impact of antibiotic resistance? Antibiotics prescribed by a doctor should be shared with family members to protect them. Absolutely not. Overuse of antibiotics is completely prohibited because that promotes antibiotic resistance. Antibiotics should only be used to treat infectious diseases caused by viruses. Again, incorrect. They should only be used for bacterial diseases only. Farmers should give antibiotics to healthy animals to prevent infections. Agar you know the antibiotics for animals and humans should be different if you want to control antibiotic resistance. Vaccination programs should be used to reduce the spread of bacteria. तो जितना कम हमारे पास बैक्टीरिया इन एनवायरमेंट एक्सपोज होगा किसी एंटीबायोटिक से, उतनी कम हमारे पास म्यूटेशन होगी बैक्टीरिया में अगेंस्ट दैट पर्टिकुलर एंटीबायोटिक, और उतनी कम हमारे पास एंटीबायोटिक रेजिस्टेंस डेवलप होगी. Tetanus is an infectious disease caused by a type of bacterium. This bacterium produces a protein that is a toxin which causes illness. So हमारे पास basically tetanus जो बीमारी है वो एक बैक्टीरियम की वजह से होती है. एंड हमारे पास ये बैक्टीरियम जो टेटनस कॉज करता है वो एक सर्टेन प्रोटीन रिलीज करता है जो कि एक टॉक्सिन की तरह एक्ट करता है और इलनेस के लिए रिस्पॉन्सिबल होता है. Scientists have produced a vaccine for tetanus. आप लोगों ने अक्सर सुना होगा टेटनस का इंजेक्शन लगवा लो जाके अगर कोई आपको इंजरी होती है, रोड इंजरी स्पेसिफिकली. सो हमारे पास क्या कहते हैं, तो टेटनस का इंजेक्शन है, दैट इज बेसिकली टेटनस वैक्सीन which contain the harmless form of the toxin called atoxide. तो उस टॉक्सिन का जो टॉक्सिन टेटनस कॉज करता है उस टॉक्सिन का हम एक सिमिलर वर्जन फॉर्म करते हैं टॉक्साइड which is not responsible for causing a disease. A toxoid is produced by mixing the toxin with chemical formaldehyde. This chemical binds to the toxin, making it harmless. Which statements about the tetanus vaccine is correct? Now, according to your MS, option number B is the correct answer. However, I don't think B is the correct answer. B should not be the correct answer. Why should B not be the correct answer? It's because statement B कह रही है, अच्छा नहीं, sorry, statement B is not the correct answer for this. Uh, statement A, statement A is the correct answer according to your MS, but statement A cannot be the correct answer. And why statement A cannot be the correct answer? After vaccination, the toxoid in the vaccine will be ingested by neutrophils and displayed in their cell surface membranes. This is incorrect. Why is this incorrect? Because neutrophils are not involved in antigen presentation. ये clearly आपके notes में भी लिखा हुआ है कि antigen presentation आपके macrophages करती हैं, neutrophils नहीं करता. So I don't know why they have given A as the correct answer. I would have to look into this because according to my knowledge, neutrophils are unable to carry out antigen presentation. Yeah. So I'll have to look into this purpose. Okay, so my next class में I'll let you guys know. नहीं 39 का आंसर ए है इन द एमएस दैट आई हैव आई थिंक बी होना चाहिए बिकॉज सी बेसिकली एक्चुअली the vaccine contained the doctor does not contain antigen does not contain research of the vaccine. I personally think the answer should be C. The toxoid protein in the vaccine stimulates the production of antibodies which remain in the blood to provide long-term immunity. But इसमें हम debate ये कर सकते हैं कि antibodies eventually break down कर जाती हैं and it is the memory cells which stay in the blood for a long time to provide long-term immunity. So I'm not really sure about this answer. तो हम इसको इंशाल्लाह कल की क्लास में डिस्कस करते हैं. Because I don't agree with option number A as the correct answer, so I'll have to look into it. At what's is the MS correct or not on this? Should there be something else? So I'll let you guys know about it in tomorrow's class. What is an effect of the immune system of a reduced number of T helper cells? A decrease in the destruction of infected body cells by T helper cells. A decrease in the activation of B lymphocytes, yes. An increase in the activation of T killer cells, no. An increase in the production of plasma cells, no. An increase in the yeah. So B is the correct answer. A decrease in the activation of B lymphocytes because eventually T helper cells secrete cytokines which activates B lymphocytes and T killer cells. So that's about this paper. Thank you so much for joining in. I'll see you guys inshallah tomorrow. Take care and Hafiz.